So let's bring in that guy we had a minute ago purely as a mesh. Let's bring in import, James. Import. Now he's not on the screen right now, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to explain what this grid is. So if you were to go into your preferences, which are settings, preferences, strange place to find them, I realize, and then you click on these settings here in your preferences, you get a working units calculation, which is right now set to centimeters. So each unit of space in this scene is a centimeter. You can set it to inches, you can set anything you like, but right now it's set to centimeters. So to further explain that, if I were to go into my measuring tools, which are right here, create a measuring tool and a distance tool, the X key, and you'll see there's a bunch of snapping things here. There's this little magnet will say you'll snap to a vertice, you'll snap to a line. In this case, I can press X, and that will snap me down to the grid, and that, for example, is 11 units, which is 11 centimeters in this case. So now I'm going to press All, A, and you're going to see the whole frame. So this right now is that guy I just brought in. If I actually went and pressed a snap to the vertices here, and I were to do a tool from here to here, that's 174 centimeters. So generally this person here is about 6 feet tall if I were to measure it in centimeters. So that's why this looks so small, is because it's in centimeters, and that's how you adjust the scale. If someone said to you, I want you to build a huge character for some movie or something, whoopsie, then you are going to take this character, and you will scale him up so he's huge, like that. And you can see how this here is staying the same size, scaling it up like that. But right now we want 6 feet. That's what size this guy is, and we're going to put some IK into him. Now the reason why we're doing this IK right now is because I want you to understand roots of IKs. We all have a center of balance. Right now the center of balance on this guy is right here. So if I wanted him to run and jump, I would be trying to swing him from this perspective, which would be difficult. It'd be much better if I were to swing him from this perspective. As you can see, that's like if you jumped and you'd flip around his core, that's probably where you'd want it. So by changing how you rig them, you can set those F8, you can set where you positioned your center of gravity for this guy. So here he is. Let's put him on 0. Let's scale him at 1. As you can see, by the way, I can change some of these things really quickly. And if I select them all like that and just change back to 0, it'll pop back to 0 on all levels. So we go to IK, let's go to our rigging section, skinning. We want to create a tool, a joint. Let's put it onto wireframe, and let's add some points. Now, I've got it on this, I don't want that. And also, when I put that there, look how small that is. That's ridiculously small. So I wonder if there's a way that I can change that. So let's go into our skeleton joint, and we will see that the short bone length, the bone radius, the long bone length. So let's just try and make these a little bit bigger. That's a little bit bigger. it's about as big as I can make them. So there we go. So again, there's more settings here. I don't use these because when you're doing symmetry, you'll see that you can make them as symmetry, or you can actually just mirror joints. So let's not worry about that too much. So let's just change this to being like 50 and 3. Now let's try 25. And so this is where the bottom of the rib cage is, top of the pelvis is, and the rib cage is up here. I'm going to put a couple bones into the rib cage to here, and then the neck starts. The neck, I'll put 2 bones in here, and the head, I'll just put 1. And I'll do it again. In this case, I will go down from here into the pelvis. This is one solid unit, so I kind of want to, I'm actually just going to start again and create a separate root here, and then I'm going to do another one starting there. So this is going to be where the legs come from. So it'll act like a pelvis, and then from there I need to create legs. So I'm going to create a leg starting right about here, let's just say. There we go. Now, from the side view, this is going to look horrible. Let's get rid of this. See? So, again, we position these in the right spots. We rotate these in the right spots. So there's our ankle. Again, this is where pivot points are probably useful. Your ankle is probably a little higher than that, so let's just raise it up a little bit. Raise this down a little bit. That's the center of the knee. This we want over here, actually. Now, the cool thing about these bones is that you want this connected to the bottom of the hip bone, but to do so, you can't just connect it easily unless you parent it. And parenting is this P button. And you see how it just naturally added in a bone there. We also have a bone that's in this direction. I would want to normally rename it left leg. And then I would rename everything in this, and then I would find a way to mirror the joint. So that didn't work, so let's look at it again. So let's just say mirror joints. So this is, we're doing this now in the X, and the blue is the Z plane. So we kind of want it to be in the YZ plane. We kind of want to mirror on the YZ plane. So we press apply and mirrored it out to the other side. So there is our start of our guy. We also have this one, which we need to parent P to here, and we also need to parent. So wherever I grab second, it parents it to it. So this now, if I were to rotate this section, it rotates up there. I use the arrow key and I go up the hierarchy, and that is the whole thing. So because I parented both the lower section and the upper section to that one became the highest root. So one more very interesting thing for you to see is this node editor. So if I were to go and select everything here, interesting. This is a new node editor. I have not seen this before. It's they used to have what's called a hypergraph, and now they've changed it. Anyway, so this is interesting. So here is your hierarchy of everything that you've just done. This is where Maya becomes more powerful yet more complicated. So here is the root structure right here. We're called joint 9. Let's just say main. This is the left leg. It should be there. Left leg. This is the left shin. So as you start looking in here and you start looking at the hierarchy, you start to make sense. Here's left leg, there's left shin, that should be the foot, the toes, and what you're eventually going to do is skin this together. So right now I'll take a couple minutes and I will finish the rest of this, and I will assume preferred angle. Oopsie. Oh, okay, so I just did a mistake. I'm going to delete that because I set these into their new positions, and then I didn't freeze them so that they know to stay in that position. So right now, for example, this should be a little lower, this should be a little higher. These are in their okay position. So I need to go in there and I need to set preferred angle on all this. And that way, when I move it into a different position like this, instead of basically snapping to the position it was, it will go to the position I just set it at. Anyway, that's a great introduction on bones and why you would orientate something in the middle of the body and how you would parent things together, in an introduction to this outliner. Outliner can be used for a lot of things because sometimes your scene is so big, all you want to go in there is select the left leg, but you can't see where you're selecting. And so it'll give you a visual of what's going on in the background. Okay, so I've got my skeleton here, and what I've done is I've parented it to this little guy and this little guy, and the reason for that is I would like to be able to make this, and remember I said I want it to flip around on the inside like this, and I also want to be able to move it like this along an axis, for example, like this, as well as using the center point to flip. So with those two, this parented to this, it gives me 1, 2, 3 different routes that I can use as rotation points. Grab the center of this plus the skeleton with a shift command, and we're going to bind skin, and now we have our guy. Right click over top of the skeleton, assume preferred, and it'll go back. So now we have that done, and let's play with it on the next episode.